Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and however you are listening to this episode of Leadership Bites, it is fantastic to have you with us. On this episode, I am joined by Craig Brookes. Craig is the co-founder and director of a company called Correct Choice Windows and Doors Limited, based in Sheffield. I'm just going to read directly from Craig's description on his LinkedIn profile around Correct Choice Windows and Doors. Double glazing done differently. Bypass the hassle, pressure sales and deceit. The uncomfortable long sales appointments gone. Highly reviewed and endorsed by which, check your trade, our reviews do the talking. I came across Craig when I was looking at some of his videos that he'd posted, and they were talking about furloughs, they were talking about mental health, and actually certain things absolutely not connected with double glazing and doors. But the thing about Craig is he really stands out. He's a very specific character. Go and check him out on LinkedIn and you'll see what I'm talking about. The thing about him that really resonated with me was this absolute transparency and intent to talk honestly. Not always getting all the right words in the right order, he'd say that himself, but an absolute humanity about him that really resonated. So some of the times he'll say things that are a little bit close to the bone, he'll say that himself, but what he has is an open heart and an intent to change an industry, at the very least where he operates, for the better. I'm going to let the episode speak for itself. Craig really resonated with me as somebody who is just inherently honest. And you know what, these days, that's worth a lot. Enjoy the episode. On upcoming episodes, we have an absolutely great group of people coming on. We have Mandy Hickson. Now, Mandy was the only female fighter pilot on her frontline Tornado squadron, flying multi-million-pound fast jets for the Royal Air Force. That is just an absolutely superb episode. We have Clara Min, Global Head of Franchise Sales, Adidas HQ. That is an absolute corker of an episode. Really watch out for that one because there's some great stuff in that conversation. I'm really excited about that. We have also Paul Nansen, CBE. Paul was the Director of Leadership, Commandant of Sandhurst, Commander, Army Recruiting and Basic Training for the Royal Military. And we have Bill Hutchinson, Director of Customer Experience with Dropbox. A whole bevy of absolutely thrilling guests that are coming on the podcast. We've also, of course, got conversations between myself and some of the team, Kevin and Stu, and we hope to get Philippa into this as well once we can make our diaries align. And I've even been threatening to do some monologues as well, which probably will not be my best idea, but I'm determined to do some. Now, what do I need from you? I need you to subscribe. I need you to maybe give us some ideas about people that we could talk to. And most importantly, please tell people. Share it on social media. Tell people when you come across them, if they're looking for something to listen to that you think can add value. If you could be so brilliant as to share the episodes on LinkedIn, that would be absolutely amazing. But you know, the thing for us is we're an up-and-coming podcast. We're trying our absolute best to get fantastic guests on. And of course, guess what? The more people that listen to the podcast, the more attractive we are to the guests that we want, and then you have a better listening experience. On that note, enjoy this really fun episode with Craig Brookes. Welcome to Leadership Bites with your host Guy Bloom, a leadership podcast, conversations, just me talking and occasional interviews. Check us out at livingbrave.com, and when you enjoy the episode, subscribe and tell everyone. Thank you, Craig, for coming on the podcast. Great to have you here.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
I've done a little bit of a lead-in beforehand, which gets people ready for what this episode's about. I'll get into how I came across you as well. I think, well, actually, I'll do that first. So I saw you pop up on LinkedIn and you were doing a little commentary on some of your observations that were really relevant to your context right now. And it really hooked me in. I connected with you, said hi, and I think your character and just the way of you really resonated with me. So I wanted to get you on the podcast. It'd be great just to hear just that little bit from you that just says, who is Craig Brookes? What's your company? Where are you based? What do you do? Just so people got a little bit of context for who you are.
Yeah, so originally born in Rotherham. I'm now a Sheffield lad, so I've been in Sheffield now around about 8 years. It's one of them things where I never thought I'd be a double glazing salesman or business owner, but it landed on my feet, Guy, and that's how we're here today. So I've been partner and founder of Correct Choice just going up to 2 years. We do things differently, and I think that's probably explains again how we've hooked up today. We don't just do double glazing. I'm a very opinionated, like to get my voice out there, and like a good debate, like any true northerner, I imagine. So, yeah, that's it, really.
So just talk to me about the dynamics and the makeup of the company.
So like the dynamics that we've got at the minute is I'm the sales director. I run all the sort of sales side, the marketing side. Well, I call it marketing, an attempt at marketing.
We'll talk about that in a minute.
I just basically don't do anything that includes my hands anymore on site. Don't get me wrong. I like to do that kind of work. I know how it goes down. I've got an understanding and I understand how all the products go down, but it's just not my strength. Yeah. So then we have my business partner, Mark, who is a 50-50 partner, and he does all the sort of surveying, fitting, and is now training up the teams. We've currently got 2 subcontractors, Luke and Nick. Nick is 20 years joinery experience. On his first day, he fitted a 4-segment bay, which is just like, wow, well done. Well, you're gonna be great in this team. So he settled in really well. And then we have Luke, who's a little bit younger, who's coming up to I'd say the area now where he could be left on his own to install these products. So yep. Nick and Luke are going to be forming a gang. Mark is going to be taking on a new apprentice very, very shortly. And I'm currently looking for another sales professional. And that's how we're going to organically grow the businesses with the right people, Guy, and the ones who have the skill and take it slowly, buddy.
Okay. So I mean, first of all, I guess I've got to describe you. People can look you up. Craig Brookes on LinkedIn. Double glazing without the hassle. You're a fine figure of a man, got a very specific look. It's almost as if we're brothers, but you went down the beard route.
Good way to describe it is what a nice troll. He explained me a couple of weeks ago. I've got my head on upside down. That's how he explained me. I've got my head on upside down. So
that's got to be that's got to be a T-shirt, Craig. I think
I'm going to get it printed because I just had to say, well done, fantastic comment, mate. So yeah,
that's it. That'll be on your business card, Craig Brookes. I've got my head on upside down. You're a very specific character. You've got the tattoos, you've got the Viking beard, and you're a big, broad-shouldered fella. You cut a swathe as you hold court. So I saw this video of you, and I saw this guy who was dressed really smartly, who was talking. But what pulled me in straight away was the fact that it was eloquent, it was not scripted. And that first video I saw of you was when you were talking about people not necessarily wanting to come back into the workplace and almost, inverted commas, enjoying the furlough and potentially even using it as a reason not to come into a business that might need their people to return so they can stay afloat. And if I've got that right, I'd just like to hear what triggered you to move from that being something that you thought to be true to going, I'm going to put that on video.
So, I mean, the majority, all the videos that I do are in some way trying to inspire to an extent, to gain other people's opinions and see what other people think and get their ideas and try and motivate and whatever. But anyway, the video, that happened because a connection pointed it out to me that it was trending on LinkedIn that furloughed staff were telling their employees that they didn't want to go back until furlough was ended. I then actually looked on my newsfeed and seen it trending. And then in the same day, kept coming across conversations about furlough staff declining going back to work because they didn't feel it safe. And that's what the video was about. The video was about, look, employment is going to be high. It's going to reach an all-time high. There is motivated people out there who want to get back to work. We want to get back to work. And it's the catch-22 of getting back to work, but also keeping everyone safe. And I don't think it's an impossible thing to do. I really don't think it is. We've done it. There's many businesses in more intricate sectors and a lot, should I say, more detail with safety aspects and safeguarding what they need to, and they're going back. Why doesn't Gary, who, I don't know, works in a shop, who gives him the right just to say, well, I'm not going back. I want free money. I want to sit on my arse at home and not get paid. And my point is that he's sat at home now saying, I want that job. I want to get back. I want to go back. And that's how the video happened, really. It's kind of, I'll be honest, Guy, not a lot of thought. I'll choose my words carefully. Not a lot of thought goes into the videos before I do them. I know the subject that I want to say. I know what I want to talk about, but none of it is scripted, and you could call it a brain fart. You could say, I've got something to say. Yeah, and I've got something to say. I'm just going to press record and I'm going to do it in one take. And that's where that video came from.
What I'm interested in there, just hearing you talk about that, is there's an interesting balance of the person who really is in a situation of, I don't fear this situation as long as all due precautions have been made. And the person who, through maybe what the media has done to make it feel a lot worse, or a genuine uncertainty about the repercussions of getting ill, or whatever that might be, is going, and this isn't even about you, the employer may have done that, but I'm still scared. Are you differentiating between the person that genuinely has fear and is uncertain versus the person that you think in your heart, it's not about that, mate, it's just that you'd rather just not do it?
100% the video was aimed not at anybody with genuine fear or genuine concerns. It's about the people that, whoa, free holiday, yeah, let's sit at home and get paid for it. Do you know what I mean? It's like the same people that don't want to send the children to school, but will sit on a beach with another 1,000 people at the weekend. Kids can't go to school, guy. It's too unsafe, but we're going to beach this weekend. Oh, great, cool, great. That makes sense, doesn't it? So it's just about the people there that are taking the piss out of the system and using it for personal gain. Because my point is that what about the business owners as well? Us business owners have got a soul, you know, we've got a heart, we've got a family, we've got mortgages to pay ourselves, and we're not invincible to any situation. And without the businesses, there is no employees. But without the employees, there is no businesses. So it goes hand in hand with each other. And I think that anybody who is genuinely worried about the situation, I think it could be stamped out quite quickly by speaking to the CEO, their MD, and looking at what sort of actions they've put in place. It just takes communication. That was my point.
I think in the world right now, we've got a lot of issue with people being too careful about how they speak. I mean, I think there's taking care in what you say, but then there's almost being too vanilla and too generic in one's opinions because we don't want to offend anybody. I'm an absolute believer for leaders at any level finding their own voice, which means you speak as you speak, but actually if you do have an opinion, then the world should be able to take it. And I like that about you. I like that fact that you go, well, we can debate whether or not I'm using all the right words in the right order, but the reality is this is what I think. And I think that's something I really try and bring out to anybody at any level to say, don't worry too much about being word perfect. If your intent is taken and misinterpreted, then you can have a conversation about that. But the reality is, say what you need to say. Because that leads us on to this thing around trust and integrity. We had a little chat and we said we'd save it for the podcast, so we didn't get into it. I was intrigued in your take on what people need to see. Call it sales, call it marketing, call it ambassadorship, call it whatever you like.
Yeah.
But you're in that role of engendering trust in your product and engendering trust in the service that you give and the interaction that people can expect to have from you. So you've gone down a route which isn't atypical. Here's a picture of a window that we did and a smiling homeowner next to it saying they are ace, that kind of thing. And you've gone down this route of being quite public in that space. And I'm just wondering the driver for you to do that.
Our industry is plagued. Double glazing is absolutely plagued with scam artists, scumbags, high prices, poor quality. And it's an industry that I genuinely want to change. And the reason for putting the videos out there is that if you don't like my videos, and you don't like me comments and you don't like the way I am, probably not going to get on and you're probably not going to buy windows from me. It's a case of not only am I having a little bit of fun, not only is it fantastic, I'm overwhelmed, Guy, by the fact...
Well, you're on a podcast, for heaven's sake.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I'm overwhelmed by some of the messages and the response and the inbox messages that I've get. So if anything, I'm going to carry on doing it and I'm enjoying it. And then the byproduct of that is for people to see exactly what I'm like, to see exactly what the business is like, and to see that there's no fluff and it's just straight. That's it. That's what I believe people want nowadays when they're looking at products in our industry. Is they don't want some greasy salesman. They want somebody to come, hire, this is that, bang, job, done, boom, see you later, done. And that's the route that we've taken, and it was my decision to do that, and we kind of don't blend in now to the other double glazing companies.
That's the interesting thing, isn't it? Because there's a lot of stuff to unpack here. You said, you don't want the greasy salesperson, but also I don't want the overly manipulated advert for a high-end electronics product. that aftershave that apparently all women will find me immediately attractive when I put it on.
Kind of fool's going to buy it based on that. Yeah.
Well, hold on, I've got quite a lot of stuff in my cupboard, mate. But after I'd spent a few £1,000s and realised it didn't work.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
No, but I know what you mean. As long as I'm in France speaking French with a tuxedo on, apparently it works. The point is, though, it's manipulated, it's covert, and there's something, you could call it salesy, and it can be overtly salesy, it can be cleverly done, no doubt costing millions of pounds to put together that advert. But it's still this sense of being sold to rather than just somebody being inherently honest.
But what they don't seem to be seeing in our industry is that they're still doing the same thing. Let's, for example, 50% off your house full of windows. So why is it coming in then at one of the most expensive quotes that you can possibly get when you're giving me 50% off? Why would anybody buy on that basis? An house full of windows is costing me 10 grand and you're telling me that you give me 50% off? Really? Get out of my house.
But Craig, hold on a minute. I've just got to make a phone call to my boss because we've got a deal that does end in an hour. I'm going to see if I can get you in on it.
Do you know what I mean? They're still doing that nowadays. And I mean, if people want to buy on that basis, then that's fine. But
that's like on Facebook when I see these sales funnels and the clock's ticking down on this, got an hour and 30 minutes left to buy the whatever it is sales funnel. But I go, every time I come on, if I come on here from a different web browser, it does the same thing again. It's it's all manipulation. It's all this trying to almost trick. And I guess it must work to a point. I mean, or does it work, Craig? Does it not work? I mean, is it just it gets a certain type of person that can be bullied a little bit and pushed into something?
I'm in two minds, Guy, me, because at certain points, I do believe that some residential customers want the big sell. I get the image that they do, because some customers do look at me when I'm in their house. My average appointment time is 30 minutes for me. I'm not being arrogant, and I don't dismiss the customer. I give all the information. I'm very intricate with everything, but I can do it in a very, very quick, condensed time without absolutely destroying the customer's day by being in there 2 hours. But I still get the sense, Guy, that some customers want to be sold to and to feel like they're making a saving when actually they're spending. I get that from some customers. Some customers want it. I really get it sometimes, and it's just not my style. We're just not going to do it, because all they're doing is they're just fishing in a very, 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 very shallow pond. And I mean, they will eventually get somebody who they'll take advantage of. Yeah, great, well done, and whatever they're doing, and it's all wrong. But I'd rather try and get everybody who I want to work with, get a good review, and just keep the business flowing without directly looking for that massive profit on every job. We don't need it. I don't want it. That's not how we do things.
I've got a colleague who's now going to prick his ears up now when he hears me say his name, Kevin, who's now just going, oh, God, what's he going to say when he listens back to the podcast? Kevin Green. Look him up on LinkedIn. Him and one of my other colleagues, Stu, we do some of these podcasts together. They both think like that, but Kevin in particular is very much, I'm going to charge you a fair price and I'm going to do a very, very good job, probably a better job than I'm even technically charging you for. I'm going to do a very, very good job with no bells and whistles in a manner that means you will want to work with me again, or you will tell people that they should. He doesn't leave room for misinterpretation or a bad feeling at the end, because it's a fair price, very fair. He charges well, but sensibly, and he does a fantastic job. And so everybody over decades of knowing him has always gone, can we have Kev? Because of that kind of work ethic. And I think that's probably what I'm hearing in what you're saying. Fair price, bloody good job, see you again.
I had one this morning ring me up, said, Craig, how you doing? I said, oh, yeah, voice sounds familiar. Yeah, it's Richard. You put me a door in a year ago. I want you to fit me windows. Okay, cool. I'll come round. So I've gone round today to give him an appointment because I was in the area. He doesn't want a quote for his windows. He wants us to fit them.
Interesting, isn't it?
So that's it. That is why I do what I do. This guy doesn't want a quote, and that's integrity. That's why I've got the reputation that we do, because I don't see initially an area where I can, oh, right, great. I even joked with him and said, oh, you shouldn't have told me that. I'll put an extra grand on your price. And we have a laugh with the customers. They know we're not. I gave him his price. The guy was just like, wow, really? For all my windows, that? Yeah, that's your price. 3,800 quid. Full house of windows we obey. The guy were gobsmacked. But that's why we do as well as we do. The majority of the double glazing companies out there, like the big name ones, would have seen an opportunity there to maximise and drain that customer of every penny. His reaction is, wow, when we've gave him that price and we're signing him up.
you want to make money, obviously, but at the same time, what you're telling me there is I'm actually thinking about the lifespan of if we want to be here in a decade, then this will just grow and grow and grow to the point where advertising is our audience or is the people that we work with.
I want to create, I'll choose my words very carefully, I want to create an audience of people that genuinely see what we are shocked by the fact that we're a double glazing company with ethics and morals. It's very unheard of to hear that. I know there is other companies out there, and I know there's, and I could name a couple in our area that share the same philosophy, morals, ethics. That's my advertising. There's people out there now talking about our company and telling everybody about how good we are, how good his prices are, how good the fitting is, how clean we are. And that's what all I'm bothered about, is spreading that wildfire, is setting that fire alight and letting it go. And I'll achieve that through what I'm doing.
Talk to me about that customer. When it came to safeguarding, you walked away.
So I had a call the other day, and this is the thing, right? I'm learning by doing these videos and doing these statuses. If you don't get everything exactly right, you're going to get lynched. And I'm learning. It's nice that you've brought it up because I can explain this customer a little bit better. So I got an email. I'm sat at my laptop. I read the email. By the time that I've read my email for a quote, my phone then rang in my hand. So I answered the phone. Hi, Craig from Correct Choice. It's the same customer that's just emailed me. It's a little bit strange, a little bit enthusiastic. Okay, no worries. Goes through all the questions, finds out the address, goes through everything, make sure that, yep, all good. We're about to book the appointment. Have you had any symptoms with COVID-19? No. We go through all the COVID. Is anybody in your property? No. We haven't. We're doing this. We're disinfecting. I'll wear shoe covers when I come to your house. I'll disinfect in front of you. You know what I mean? Sanitize. Yep. Oh, by the way, I'm guarded. I'm guarded. I haven't left the house in 14 weeks or 12 weeks or something. I says, well, that's where I'd like to say at this moment in time that I don't think it's safe for us to come round. But you could keep me distance, yes. But what about cross-contamination on your gate? What about just being at the property when the government guidelines are you should stay in the property? And that's when it went a little bit south. I told the customer that they're more than happy to check in 4 weeks and to keep checking back if they want to use us, because they've got to offer a viewing platform, Check a Trade. His reputation on there is immaculate. So I treat these customers with respect. You can call back. We can take it as it goes. And then obviously the discrimination card gets pulled out, phone gets put down, and I'm sat there thinking, what the hell's happened? But then the more I think about it, the more that I see the comments on LinkedIn, is the more you start to piece the picture together. Yes, the customer was frustrated. Not my problem, though. Don't take it out on me. Do you know what I mean? I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to be nice, and I'm trying to help you. Then you've got the sort of, must have been told that before off other companies to come to that reaction, or possibly. Should you really be calling people? Are you bored? Are you looking for a reaction? I don't know. But I've got to look after my business. I've had that many sleepless nights, guy. You know what I mean? I put my blood, my sweat, my tears, everything into this business. So I can't risk it due to the fact of giving a quote. I'm not going to risk that because it's just not worth it. And that's why I put that out, see if it inspires other people and to see what other people's thoughts are. I've got a few interesting comments on that one. Anyway.
That is the once you open your door to this social media world that we live in. And LinkedIn's it's not Facebook and it's not Twitter.
On LinkedIn, I'm not the most articulate person, you know what I mean?
You're doing pretty well, my friend.
I struggle sometimes trying to explain what I'm saying. So some people on there, because they're cleverer than me, they can have me bent over a barrel quite quickly. And I can feel a little bit like, oh, shit, I should have rephrased that a little bit better, or I should have potentially put that. Comments on there, a couple of people saying it's the customer's choice. No, it's not. It's not the customer's choice whether I want to work for them or not, or whether our business does.
Isn't it interesting? You like vanilla ice cream, I like strawberry. Who's right? And it's very interesting. I seem to remember back in the day that it used to be more around, even if I disagreed, I would recognise your position. Now what I notice is in the world, there's a greater polarity on, no, you're wrong, as opposed to actually, hey, do you know what? I get your perspective. It's your company. Those are the choices you make, and history will tell us if you made the right choice, as opposed to anything they might decide to label you with. So I do see that. And LinkedIn is a relatively safe space, sometimes a bit passive-aggressive with the way it is. But yes, once you get into the Facebook world, the trolls come out. What is the general commentary or observations that people are giving you about the stuff that you're doing?
I get a lot of it sounds cringe.
Go on.
I get a lot of inbox messages saying thank you for doing that video, thank you for sharing that with us, thank you for inspiring me, and a lot of it is thank you. I don't understand why people don't put it on the video. I mean, I understand that some businesses...
Isn't that interesting? They're willing to send it to you direct, but they wouldn't put it out there.
It is. It's very interesting. But a lot of them is thank yous, kind of the mental health side, what you're doing. Thank you very much. Can't believe that you're speaking up about it. Great guy. So, yeah, it's the majority of the inbox messages are that, and quotes.
And quotes, right?
Yeah, a lot of quotes. So, yeah.
How far does your reach go, actually, from Sheffield?
We'll go where the work is. If you're down south and you want a door fitting, we're not going to go. You're down south and you want a conservatory building, then let's start chatting. Some people think, oh, well, you should have sort of generic areas. And no, it's not. No, I'll go where we want to go if you want the work doing it and it makes business sense. If it doesn't make business sense, I'll still try and help that individual. I'll still see if the prices they're getting, if you drop me an inbox, oh, look, I've got this from a local, is this right? Yeah, that seems reasonable. But I'll still try and help people. That's it.
If it's southern prices, you can probably say, well, do you know what? I'll knock 20% off that price and I'll still come down and do it.
Yeah. If it makes business sense, we'll go where it goes.
So on the mental health side of some of the things that you were talking about, what's your commentary been on that? What have your observations been?
I just think that people don't talk about it enough, and that is probably one of the hardest videos I've had to do. When I say I had to do, I didn't have to do it. I wanted to do it. I suffer heavily with anxiety. I get batches of depression, and nobody talks about it. I'm not blowing my own trumpet, but there's no big, burly, bald-headed, bearded guys with tattoos and holes in their ears talking about it on a platform where it's majority business owners and people under enormous amounts of stress. We're all human. So if I class myself as a regular guy, so what about a guy who's been a CEO of a company for 20 years or whatever, or your average worker or a labourer or whatever? I'm just trying to inspire people to talk about it more, get the feelings out there, because it did a lot for me when I did that and when I put the courage up to discuss it.
Well, I love that. I think it's an interesting thing. One of the things that when we briefly chatted was when you get certain sizes of organisation, or maybe it's not even about the size of the organisation, it's their sense of risk about being genuinely human. Well, in the situation that we're talking about, be it a podcast, be it a video, or whatever it is. I'm very interested in larger organisations. There's something in what you do. I don't think it's either or. I don't think it's you have to have one style of approach.
It all revolves around respect.
Yes.
It's all respect, isn't it? If you've got respect, then that professionalism comes. If you're respecting human beings, you're respecting your organisation, you're respecting your audience. I mean, even some of the videos that I do, which are close to the bone, are still respectful. Just because you don't agree with it, I still haven't crossed that boundary of disrespecting the audience. And I believe that when you go corporate and you go into these footsies or you see these companies that have got a large amount of employees, they kind of turn robotic and it's like they've lost the soul. It's like, I don't get it. It's like you are a human being. Let's see that you are human. Don't get because there's 100 people in a company, you all of a sudden you haven't got an opinion, you can't comment on somebody on LinkedIn in case the organisation sees it and it doesn't fall in line with their ethics or morals or whatever. I just think it all revolves around respect and showing your audience respect. That's it.
So you know the Joe Rogan podcast?
Yep.
There's a guy that has just sold his podcast to Spotify for about £89 million, as you do.
Awesome.
Of course, so basically he's won.
Yeah.
He's won the podcast contest.
Oh, he's definitely he's king of podcasts, isn't he?
Oh, my gosh. Here's the interesting thing for me is he gets more downloads, I believe, than Fox News and CNN and all these American news outlets combined. And his podcast lasts 90 minutes to 3 hours. They're sometimes rambling, they agree, they disagree, they go off tangent, they come back. But what you're listening to, regardless of who he's talking to, is you're listening to usually two adults having a genuine conversation with ebbs and flows of sometimes being very serious all the way through to being ridiculous. And there's something there which is that capacity, and maybe that is the next step, to combine those two things where we can be professional, i.e., the caricature of professional, have the posh adverts and all that, but also let our people be free.
Yep.
If you really want to engage with us as consultants or a product or a service, then let's not just do videos of us in suits talking about our product. let's show you who we are as human beings. And actually, just like you've done, there's a lot of double glazing companies out there. And what are we going to do to get spoken about that isn't shock and awe, that actually is maybe a disturbance in the force, but is very genuine? And I think that's the thing. Maybe there's a consultancy we could put together here and become millionaires on the back of it.
Yeah.
But there's something about that I think is, exactly. But there's something about that I think you're indicative of. My actions and our outputs show our professionalism, but what you're seeing up front is our humanity. And I love that.
So touching on the Joe Rogan then, and a little bit that you just said then. So this is what I like about Joe Rogan, right? Is the guy is an openly admit that he's a massive hunter. Nearly enough like every other day, there's a picture of him chopping up, which looks like rare meat and eating it. The guy openly talks about anything like this, but you're telling me he doesn't have vegan as an audience?
Well, I know he does, because Kevin's a vegan. He's like Eddie Bravo on conspiracy theories. Some of you listen to this may have to look those characters up. Once he goes off on the topic, you go, oh, I'm in for a bit of a ride here, and I love him to bits.
But he still pulls it off in a respectful manner, and he still engages with his audience. It's different from what I've seen other people. There's other people that could just post a picture of that or post about openly going out and killing animals, but I don't kill animals. I don't. But I still love Joe Rogan and what he does. However, somebody else could try and do what he is, and you just be like, what a dickhead. Yeah, I don't even want to talk to him. I don't even want to listen to him.
Do you know what it is? We also did a post on tattoos. I feel like I've been stalking you, Craig, in the short time that I've known you.
It's all right.
You were showing the tattoos. I'm quite heavily tattooed, wrists upwards over back and all that sort of example. You don't see it most of the time because I'm wearing shirts and this, that, and the other. So I saw this meme and it said, the difference between people with tattoos and people without tattoos is that people with tattoos don't care that you haven't got any.
Well, yeah, because we aren't saying, does it really?
But that's the thing. It's like with Joe Rogan and the meat. He says, look, I hunt. Oh, you don't hunt? Okay.
That's it.
That's all right. I don't have an issue with you not hunting.
Yeah, but I don't have an issue with anybody who hasn't got tattoos, so why have they got an issue with me?
Exactly. And that's the Joe Rogan approach, which is, oh, so you like strawberry ice cream? Oh, I like vanilla.
Yeah. But he'll still get a point across of why he likes his ice cream, though. That's it.
Yeah. And this is what he will do more than anybody else. He will deeply try and understand your position.
Yep.
To the point where he's almost he's almost going under the impression, I think, of, what if I'm wrong? And if I am wrong, I've got this fantastic opportunity to find out. And I think that's the difference, where, I don't know if you've ever heard that phrase, confirmation bias, but we stand our ground on our own opinion. And Joe Rogan doesn't do that. He goes, I've got an opinion and I'll tell you what it is. But while I'm doing that, I'd like to find out if I'm wrong.
And that's why I'll never have an £100 million podcast guy, because I don't
Give it time, son. Give it time.
I don't do that sometimes. So, yeah, I think I need to take a leaf out of Joe Rogan's book and maybe step back a little bit sometimes and try and understand the customer's feelings in them areas.
Well, I think you do.
I'm not naive to it, guy.
Yeah,
I'm not.
I know you do. All the essence of what you're about is actually saying, I want to walk away with a customer that wants to talk about us.
That's it.
I totally hear that in everything that you do. On that note, amazingly, we've been talking for nearly 40-odd minutes. The point of me doing these podcasts is for me to engage with people that I like the sound of, who I think are interesting characters. Not just characters, because we can all be characters. What's that thing in Pulp Fiction where Mr. Wolf said,
favourite film, that, by the way.
He says to the lady who's the scrapyard owner, just because you are a character doesn't mean you have character.
That's it.
You are a character and you have character, and I love that.
Thank you very much.
So I think that's a great thing. So on that note, if you just stay on for a few minutes so we can just wrap up. Craig, just thank you so much for taking the time.
Absolute pleasure, mate. And I hope I haven't wasted 40 minutes of your time. But yeah, it's been it's like, right, we'll put that podcast in the bin.
If you never see this one come out on the channel, no, I've taken a minute of reflection.
Yeah, it's been, look, you've took my podcast virginity, so I hope it wasn't a rough one.
You're doing so well there. Hold on, let me just press stop on the recording. One second. Hold on. That's the end of the podcast, and that was Craig Brookes. What do I like about Craig? I like the fact that he's upfront, he's honest, he's transparent, something missing in a lot of organisations right now. And what he does without talking about vision strategies and value statements and all of these kind of things, he actually embodies and symbolises and role models just because that is his identity about what it is that he is about in a way that can be trusted. And there's a lot of things to be learnt from that way of approaching the world. So, hope you've enjoyed this episode. We've got some fantastic guests coming up. Subscribe so you don't miss them. So, of course, tell everybody about the podcast Leadership Bites. Hugely important to us that we get our name out there. And of course, as I've said before, and I keep on saying, the more people listen, the more we can get big guns on, and we can have even more exciting episodes. Thanks for tuning in. Hope to see you next week. Take care. That's it. Subscribe so you keep updated on new episodes. Visit livingbrave.com if you want to connect with us and find out more. This has been Leadership Bites. See you soon.